Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Dishan Kumar, and I'm seated here with the legendary ex-football player, Mr. Michael Owen. Thank you, Michael, for joining us today.
Thank you.
So we have to start off with a very popular question. I talked to a lot of my mates, and they were like, "This is the first thing you need to ask him. Do you see yourself as a Man United supporter or a Liverpool supporter?"
Yeah, it's quite a frequent question I get asked, but no, I see myself as a Liverpool player, Liverpool ex-player. Of course, I had a great time at Manchester United and all my clubs, but I joined Liverpool when I was very young, and they were always my club. And even when I left with a heavy heart to go to Real Madrid, I was always thinking, shall I go, shan't I go? But I just thought, I will regret it for the rest of my life if I don't try it. Maybe do what Ian Rush did and go. He went to Juventus just for 1 year and then came back. So it was always my plan to try to go to Madrid for a period of time and then hopefully come back to Liverpool. But
because you wanted to try yourself, you wanted to go and push yourself to that
if I had said no, I would have been sat here now doing an interview saying, do you know what, one day I got asked to play for Real Madrid and I said no, and I would be thinking, what would that be like? Different food, different culture, different climate, different
type
team.
of football, the style of football is
everything.
different.
Yeah, I just thought, you know what, you only live once, you've got to try it, especially when a team like that asks you to play. So I didn't want to leave ever Liverpool, and I always saw myself as a Liverpool player. But then once I was returning home, and unfortunately I couldn't get back to Liverpool, and every time I tried, they had Suarez there or Torres there, so as much as I tried every single time, it was never possible to rejoin. So my career didn't go as perfect as I wanted, but then again I made the decision to leave in the first place, so I'm not bitter about that, I'm not upset about that. I wish I'd gone back to Liverpool after Real Madrid, but it never happened, and I had to navigate my way through and always with the ambition of being the best player I can. You have a job, we've all got jobs, we all want to be the best we can be, so of course a lot of people always mention Manchester United, but when you're a footballer, you're not there to support a team, you're there to try to be as good as you can. You only have a small career, and I wanted to play at the highest level.
And talking about the story behind your move to Man United, did you feel like in the back of your head when the Sir Alex actually told that he's interested and you got an official request from Man United, did you feel in the back of your head you're like, don't do it? I'm still, I still see myself, I still have I still have some loyalty towards Liverpool, or did you feel like this is a chance I need to take it? And did you feel like the fans actually gave you a bit of stick?
Well, unfortunately, when you're playing, you can't say too much, When I was at Newcastle, of course, I wanted to go back to Liverpool when I left Real Madrid, but unfortunately we couldn't make the deal happen. Newcastle came in, doubling the bid of Liverpool, and Real Madrid simply wouldn't let me go back to Liverpool. They said, okay, if Liverpool matched the Newcastle bid, then you can go. But of course, Liverpool could never do that, so I had no option but to go to Newcastle from that point. But then every single year, I tried to get back to Liverpool. But as I mentioned, Torres was there, Suarez was there. 1 year I had a big knee problem, so I couldn't go. So at every opportunity, I tried to get back to what I consider my club. Once that can't happen, and now I was leaving Newcastle, then I have to explore who wants
other
me,
options.
my next options. And at the time, there was Hull City, Everton and Manchester United were the three teams that inquired and made an offer. So, what do you want me to do? At this point, I'm still very young. See, in life, it's not a problem if somebody leaves one job to go to the next job. It's fine, especially if they're trying to do better for themselves. But in football, it's like, it's impossible, you can't do it, especially if it's to a rival club. So, as I say, Liverpool is my team. Perfect scenario would have been to play for Liverpool again, but that couldn't happen. So, what do you want me to do? I'm very respectful of Manchester United, and at the end of the day, I'm not paid to be a fan, as much as Liverpool are my team, and I support them. I have to try to do the best I can. I've practiced all my life. I've got to try to stay playing in the Champions League, challenge for the Premier League and things like that. So what should I do? Not go to Everton because they're archer. I'm not going to Manchester, then play for Hull in the Championship when I'm only still young. I mean, people have got to get real a little bit,
All right. And we have to talk about your favourite goals for each of the clubs you've played. What about your favourite goal for Liverpool? what would be your favourite goal?
I always say if I could live one day again for the, then it would be the day that we won the FA Cup against Arsenal. So scoring 2 goals in the last 5 minutes was just amazing. When I was a young boy, I was in the garden playing football on my own, so dribbling around the tree and shooting into the garage and things like that, saying, the Michael Owen in the final of the FA Cup. So that was like a real dream for me. And then to play in the FA Cup and to score the 2 goals against a great Arsenal team, they were the Invincibles, and they were a fantastic team, and we were under pressure for most of the game. They probably deserved to beat us, but then to snatch victory when you think you're going to lose was a memorable day. So I think that goal, the second goal in that final, would be the best one for Liverpool.
What about your time at Real Madrid?
Well, for Real Madrid, I had a great time in Madrid, but I could not say any other goal bar the one in El Clasico. That's arguably the biggest game in the world. And that day, there was some amazing scorers: Ronaldo, Zidane, Eto'o, Ronaldinho. I think Raul scored, and then myself. So we won 4-2 at the Bernabeu. So I think that was my favourite moment in Madrid.
What about Newcastle?
Newcastle was my favourite goal for Newcastle. I think against Sunderland in the derby. It's such a big game up there, and I was quite early on in my career at Newcastle. I think it was my first derby, my first big game, and we won 2-1 and I scored both goals. So I think that meant a lot for Newcastle fans and meant a lot for me as well.
All right. Your time at Man United. I think I know this goal, the one you're going to say your most favourite goal.
Yeah, I would say it's got to be. I mean, I had some great moments at Manchester United. I scored a hat-trick in the Champions League. I scored in the Cup final, which was great. I scored 2 against one of their big rivals, Leeds, in the Cup as well. But I think there's no question for pure adrenaline.
That 95th minute,
or 96th or 97th, or Fergie time.
Fergie time, yeah.
I think that goal against Manchester City was pretty special, yeah.
All right. We have to talk about, at your time at Man United, you had the number 7 jersey. And this number 7 jersey, ever since Ronaldo left, everybody who has played for United hasn't hit the levels that they want to hit. And we had even that issue with Antonio Valencia, who got the number 7, and then now he's like, I don't want the number 7, he went back to his 25. Do you feel there's a taboo with that number currently? I mean, we've had all these great players play for Man United with that number, but now you feel players don't really want, it's like they're superstitious, or is it something, is it just that the timing is not right?
Yeah, I think it's just coincidence. I think we're also comparing the number 7s now to players like Robson and Beckham and Ronaldo and George Best and all these great players that have worn it. It is a very famous shirt. When I first joined the club, as you mentioned, Antonio Valencia was offered the number 7 and wore the number 7, and I think maybe superstition, he didn't feel as if he played so well in it, or whatever was the reason, so he changed back to 25. But I remember Sir Alex Ferguson pulling me into the dressing room and Michael Carrick, and he said, this is a very important shirt, and he looked at me and he said, I would like you to wear it, Michael, but if you don't want to, if you think it's too much pressure or anything else, then Michael Carrick, I will ask you to wear it. So I was, no, I'll wear it. I don't feel pressure. I'll be very respectful and towards the shirt. And as you say, there's some great players since. Di Maria's a great player. Memphis Depay's a very good player. There's been some very good players wearing it since, but I think it's just circumstances. I don't think too many people anyway, certain people might, but I don't think too many people feel the pressure of it. I think it's once you're out playing, you forget what number you're wearing. You can't see the number anyway, it's on your back. So I think it's just the time. Maybe the next number 7
What
will be
about
very
the
good.
current number 7 for Man United, Alexis Sanchez? A player in that level, playing, he's not playing well. Like, everybody knows. I think even he knows. You can see the frustration when he goes out on the field and things don't really work out for him. What do you think is the story behind that?
Well, I think you could say he's had a disappointing time at Manchester United, but every player had a disappointing time at Manchester United. I can't see anybody in that team that isn't a better player than they actually showed. Jose Mourinho couldn't get the best out of the team as a whole. So I think now they're all playing much better. Sanchez had one or two injuries, but this is a player that was the best player in the Premier League for maybe 3 or 4 seasons.
Exactly.
He was absolutely brilliant. So I still think he will come back to being at a much higher level, like all of the rest of the team have, the likes of Pogba, Rashford. Everybody's playing better now. So once he gets fit and once he gets back in the team, I'm sure his levels will get back up to hopefully where they were.